Hello, welcome. This is your instructor, Roberto Avendaño, and welcome to the ITNW-2405 V01 Network Administration for Fall 2026 at Texas Southmost College.
GitHub Copilot.
So I am going to go over a few things today.
Let's go ahead and do that since we're here.
We're going to go over the Canvas shell. We're going to go over the syllabus, the expectations for the class, and as well as to where to find some of the resources. I know that there are some assignments that are coming up due already. I will be extending the due date on those since I know we're going to need a little bit more time to get up and running and started. I will be creating videos throughout the semester on how to do certain things that will go along with the labs.
So let's go ahead and go to github.com.
Not in this video, but in a different video, I will we'll show you how to install the VMware hypervisor, the Type 2 hypervisor on your computer.
Your GitHub account.
So anyways, starting off, right here we can see the landing page of the shell.
I already have a GitHub account.
I know it says watch the welcome video. Technically,
so
this will serve as the welcome video.
Register.
Read the course overview below. Go to the following link. So here I've got a link to the academic student services. Let me minimize this. So on your own time, go ahead and read all of this. It's got some real good information here. There's also a Canvas tutorial
system designed to handle
link.
everything from small to very large projects with speed and efficiency.
Again, when you have time, go through this. Same thing for the digital library at the TSC. I've got a link to it. This takes us outside of Canvas. So if you need any resources from the digital library, this is where you would go. Further down, technical requirements and support. So we've got a link for that as well. So if you have any issues, you can always visit this here. You can also check the syllabus. So let's continue. Let's go over. So as you navigate the landing page, and you scroll down, I've got links to the different weeks. Right. If you scroll down to the syllabus, let's go over this. So this is the syllabus for the network administration. This is a 4-credit hour course. It is 16 weeks. We will be using the Canvas learning management system. We'll be using the book required for this course is from Cengage. There will be, I'll make sure that it's linkable from here, but as you go through the assignments, it should take you directly to Cengage. We will have some labs that come from Cengage and other labs that you will need to do on your own computer. The physical labs that you do on your own computer, you will need to use the VMware hypervisor. Right. I do have a link for it. I'll go over where that's. You can find that in a bit. So, course description. This course introduces topics in network administration, including network components, user accounts and groups, network file system security, and network printing. Students develop practical skills in configuring, administering, securing, and troubleshooting network environments. So to summarize, this course itself is going to consist of setting up a Windows Active Directory and creating user accounts, creating file shares in that Active Directory, and adding the client's computers to that Active Directory, to that Windows-based network. So in order to be able to accomplish a lot of the labs, you will need to virtualize the Windows operating system. If And so with that being said, this course for the physical labs requires an Intel-based computer. Now, what does that mean? That means if you are using one of the newer M-based Apple computers, while it supports an ARM-based version of Windows Desktop, it does not support, at least not very easily, Windows Server. If you are going to go the Mac hardware route, then you will need to use an Intel-based Mac or Apple computer. So then with that being said, any other Windows-based computer or Linux-based computer that runs on Intel or AMD processors will suffice. Course Student Learning Outcomes, or SLO. Upon successful completion of this course, students will be able to describe the components of a local area network and their relationship, create and administer user accounts and groups, plan and set up network file systems, create effective file system security, implement and administer network printing. The required course material is the hands-on Microsoft Windows Server 2022 4th edition by Jason Eckert, ISBN 13 9798214011608. This course also uses the Cengage with MindTap. Required equipment: students should have access to two 16 gig dedicated USB drives, a Windows laptop with at least 8 to 16 gigs of RAM, or a comparable Apple MacBook. But as we discussed earlier, if you go the Apple MacBook route, if it's an Intel MacBook, if it's an M-based or Apple chip, you may have issues. A portable SSD or USB drive for performance and storage. Course Learning Approach, ITNW-2405 is a hands-on network administration course. Students will work with technologies including Windows Server 2022, Windows Server Core, Windows Admin Center, Hyper-V, Active Directory Domain Services, users and groups, organizational units, file shares, NTFS permissions, SMB or Samba, NFS or network file shares, DFS or distributed file systems, network printing, CUPS, which is a network printing system, usually found on Unix or Linux systems, storage, network attached storage or NAS, iSCSI, DNS or domain name services, DHCP, routing, remote administration, Microsoft Azure, Windows containers, group policies, password policies, accounts lockout policies, monitoring, event logs, performance monitoring, and troubleshooting. The goal is to move beyond memorizing configuration steps and develop the ability to configure, test, troubleshoot, verify, and document network systems. Course assessments. Students will complete a combination of reading assignments, discovery exercises, virtual labs, hands-on labs, original labs, PowerShell labs, weekly quizzes, discussion activities. We will have a weekly discussion. The weekly discussion topic deadline is, well, actually I will provide the topic itself, but the deadline to submit it is the Friday of that same week. The discussions will unlock on Mondays, and then you will have until the end of the following week, Friday of the following week, to answer, to complete the assignment, the discussion. After that, the discussion itself will close and will not be reopened. So to get full credit, make sure that you complete the discussion by Friday. If you wait till the following Friday, you will only get partial credit. Grading. Assessment category percentage, 15% will count towards weekly quizzes. Hands-on labs will count 20%. original labs will count 15%. PowerShell labs will count 15%. The discussions will count as 10%. And the signature assignment will count as 25%. We scroll down, we see the weekly schedule calendar. So week 1, introduction and preparation. Week 2, getting started with Windows Server 2022. Week 3, configuring Windows Server 2022. Week 4, Hyper-V and rapid server deployment. Although I think we have several labs that, I know we have several labs that are VMware. Week 5, Active Directory and account management. Week 6, Active Directory, users, groups, and OUs. Week 7, resource access and file systems. Week 8, network printing. Week 9, data storage and protection. Week 10, network services. Week 11, remote access services. Week 12, web services and cloud technologies. Week 13, managing and securing Windows networks. Week 14, monitoring and troubleshooting AD health checks. Week 15, integrated network administration. And on week 16, the Capstone Enterprise Build. Integrate the skills developed throughout the course. Now, the discussion topics. So week 1, it's very simple. It's introduce yourself. On week 2, the discussion will be why is Windows Server administration important? Week 3, why is proper server configuration important? Week 4, why is virtualization important in network administrators, to network administrators? Week 5, why is centralized account management important? Week 6, how do users, groups, and OUs work together? Week 7, why is resource access management important? Week 8, why are network print servers useful? Week 9, why are backup and recovery important? Week 10, why are network services important? Week 11, why is remote server management important? Week 12, how is cloud computing changing network administration? Week 13, why is group policy important? Group 14, why is proactive monitoring important? Week 15, final course reflections. And then finally, week 16 is the course reflection or the final. Course activities. Weekly course activities. Week 1, introduction and preparation. Students begin building the laboratory environment and preparing for Windows Server administration. The activities include course introduction, which is what we're doing right now, VMware configuration, VMware template, Windows OS installation, Linux OS installation, initial Windows Server configuration, Chapter 1 discovery activities, Windows Server installation, Windows Server core deployment, and the discussion, introduce yourself. Right. I'll leave it to you to read the rest of these. Back on the dashboard, there is a page dedicated for the discussions. So discussions are an opportunity to connect the technical concepts covered in the course to real-world network administration. Rather than simply repeating information from the textbooks, use these activities to explain your reasoning, apply what you have learned, and engage with your classmates. The course syllabus identifies discussion as 10% of your overall grade. Discussion expectations. Initial response. Provide a thoughtful response to the discussion questions. Your response should directly address the question, demonstrate understanding of the week's topic, use appropriate technical terminology, include examples when appropriate, explain why, not simply what. That's very important. Peer response. Respond to at least one classmate. A strong peer response should contribute something to the conversation. For example, you might ask a meaningful follow-up question, provide an additional example, explain a different perspective. connect their response to another course concept, agree or disagree, and explain why. Just simply saying I agree is not good, or just saying good post is not a good response. So that's not gonna fly. All right, as we scroll down, we will see the discussion topics themselves. Now, actually, for week 1, we've got 2 discussion topics: the introduce yourself and what makes effective network administration important to an organization. Right, and I believe we have 16. So the course reflection on week 16. What has been the most valuable skill you developed in this course, and how will you apply it in a real-world network environment? Now, the discussion for week 16 will actually be opened up earlier, right? Since week 16 is literally the last week, it's usually reserved for the final. Week 16, I believe, will unlock at the same time as the week 15 discussion topic. Discussion response guidelines. A strong discussion response should demonstrate application and analysis, not just recall. Strong response, here's an example. A centralized directory service, such as Active Directory, allows administrators to manage users and computers from a central location, instead of configuring each computer individually. Administrators can use groups and policies to apply consistent security settings across the organization. This becomes increasingly important as the number of users and computers increases. For example, a company with 300 employees would have significantly more administrative overhead if every account and security had to be configured independently on each workstation. Right, so that right there is an example of a good response. A weak response is Active Directory is important because it manages users and computers. While that is a true statement, that is a very, very weak response. Right, now to elaborate on the purpose of this program, of this course, and to elaborate a little bit on the strong response. Every enterprise organization, right? You think of, for example, Texas Southmost College, or a Wells Fargo Bank, right? Or take your pick of any company, any large company that has more than, let's say, 10 employees. Let's say we're looking at a relatively small to medium to even enterprise environment. Let's say you have a business that has 100 employees, right? If you are managing 100 employees, they each have a computer. So that's 100 computers that you manage. Let's say you need to install Adobe PDF Reader, the Adobe Reader. Well, you can do it manually. You would have to go to each of those 100 locations and manually install it. But how long would that take? Right. Now, extrapolating from that, let's use TSC as an example now. How many classrooms does TSC have? Well, I don't know off the top of my head, but definitely more than 10. Probably more than 100. How many computers does each classroom have? Let's say a ballpark figure of about 20 to 25. Right? 20 is a nice even round number, so let's say 20. So let's say 100 classrooms with 20 computers each. How many computers is that? 2,000, right? Okay. So now imagine installing Adobe Acrobat Reader on those 2,000 computers, and you're doing it manually. How long is that going to take? Right? That could take you a whole month, right? If you're going to each and every single one. If you have a team, you could do it faster, right? Or if you have all of those computers connected and managed centrally through, let's say, Active Directory, then you can push out that update, or not update, that installation from the server in a single afternoon, right? Now let's say you have, again, Texas Southmost College. How many students does Texas Southmost College have? I don't know. Let's say 1,000. 2,000, 3,000, 10,000. That's a lot of users. If those 10,000 students need to change their password to be able to use a computer from a lab at the main campus, and then they come over to the ITEC campus and they have to log in. Well, if we are managing everything manually, you would need to then go to each of those 2,000 computers and install and create 10,000 user accounts. Right? And then when the student's password changes, once again, you would have to go to each one of those 2,000 computers and update the password manually. That's not feasible. That's also another example of where Active Directory comes in, right? So by managing the credentials centrally on your Active Directory server, you are able to then update all of your students, all of your clients' passwords from one central location, and it applies across the entire organization, right? That's where network administration comes in, right? That's why we have an Active Directory. That's why we have servers. And when it comes to an enterprise environment, by far Windows network environment is what works. Right? You can do the same thing with an Apple ecosystem, or you can do the same thing with a Linux environment, but not to the same degree. Right? The Windows server infrastructure, when it comes to business, is how you do it. Okay, so now going back to the dashboard page, let's go to the course resources. And here under the course resources, ITNW-2405, this page provides a central location for the resources you will use throughout the course. Keep these resources available as you work through the weekly modules, labs, discussion, quizzes, and the final capstone project. Right. So again, here we talk about the book. Chapters used in this course. Chapter 1, Windows Server 2022. Chapter 2, installing and configuring Windows Server, yada, yada, yada. So if you scroll down to the ISO and application files, this is where you can find the VMware workstation installation. I have it as a zip file. I've included one that will work under Linux, and the second one is for Windows. I also have a download for FileZilla. Not sure that you really needed this course, but I included it there anyways. As well as TuneAS Scale ISO. There's a Windows 10 ISO installation which we may need. VMware VCSA ISO, that's actually a pretty large ISO, it's several gigs. Windows Server 2025 ISO, which again, we will be using that for the Windows Server. The Windows 10 is what we'll be using for the Windows operating system. Now, if you have an ISO for Windows 11, you can use that as well. As a matter of fact, I'll be uploading an ISO for Windows 11. Right. We have an installation for the Wireshark Portable, as well as the Cisco Packet Tracer. Now, further down, I list a few other resources that currently do not have any links to them yet, but eventually we will. Now, let's go to the week number 1. Week 1, introduction and preparation. This week is about establishing the foundations of the course and preparing your network administration lab environment. Before we begin configuring Windows Server 2022, you will become familiar with the course expectations, resources, lab environment, and the role of a network administrator. Network administration is a hands-on discipline. Throughout this course, you will work on server operating systems, Active Directory, network resources, file systems, security, printing, PowerShell, and other network services. This course includes weekly labs, assignments, quizzes, discussions, and a scaffold signature assignment. This week is also an opportunity to make sure your technical environment is ready before the more intensive server configuration begins. Learning objectives. By the end of this week, you should be able to 1. Explain the purpose and role of network administration. 2. Describe the general responsibilities of a network administrator. 3. Identify the major topics covered in ITNW-2405 network administration. That's a breathful. 4. Explain the importance of server administration in a network environment. 5. Identify the resources required for the course. 6. Verify access to the required lab environment. 7. Prepare the hardware and software needed for upcoming labs. 8. Explain the importance of documentation and troubleshooting in network administration. And 9. Navigate the Canvas course and locate weekly learning materials and assessments. Now, read and review. There is no textbook chapter assigned for week 1. So for this week, make sure you go over the syllabus, right? Make sure you go over the simple syllabus. Important. That's very important. It's right there. You go over the course calendar. You look at the course resources, which we've already done. Review the course policies. Look at the week 1 instructional material, which is what we're going over right now. Lab environment instructions, Windows Server 2022 introductory materials. You download the A1 Introduction to Network Directory Services. That's a PDF. You go over the OSI model and virtualization. Preparation activity. Verify that you can access Canvas, course modules, Cengage MindTap, the assigned lab environment, the required course software, verify your storage devices, and the Windows Server 2022 lab environment. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, the the version of Windows Server that I have there is 2025. I'll have to upload the 2022 version, but the assignments and the labs that we're going to be working on can be done with Windows Server 2025. So this week, Lab 1, Network Administration Environment Preparation. This week's lab focuses on preparing your environment for the semester. You will review the Network Administration Lab environment, identify the systems you will work with during the course, verify access to the Windows Server environment, identify the resources available to you, review basic server and network terminology, verify that your assigned lab environment is functional, document any configuration or access information provided by your instructor, practice starting and stopping your lab environment, and verify that you can access resources needed for week 2. Now, since we are going to be using virtualization, make sure that you have a computer that has at the very minimum 16 gigs of memory, preferably 32. The more memory, the better when it comes to virtualization. Ideally, you should be running off of an SSD drive, solid state storage, not a mechanical drive. While you can run off of a mechanical drive, that will be extremely slow. Make sure you have a pretty powerful or fast processor, right? Now, a good, inexpensive, low-end system, medium-end system that you can acquire, and this is that you could do these labs with, you could look for something like a Lenovo T14 Generation 2A. The A stands for AMD. A system like that or comparable to that, it's not a new system. You can find them on eBay for very little. Just make sure that whatever system you're using is comparable to at least the specs on that computer. The newer, the better, the more powerful, the better. Right. While you can do these labs in a laptop, these labs or virtualization typically works better on a desktop computer. So assessment, syllabus, and course orientation. Complete the assigned course orientation activities in Canvas. Lab 1, network administration environment preparation. Lab 2 is VMware template. Lab 3 is the Windows OS install. Lab 4 is the installation of Linux OS. Now again, I will be creating videos that go along with these labs to help out. Now, as we go along and as I record these videos, I will be posting these videos on Canvas for every week. That way they are tied to the assignments that we are looking at, to the labs. I will be creating a YouTube playlist that is going to contain both the lectures and the videos. I will include that playlist link or links on Canvas. I will also be creating a Teams chat group that will allow us to communicate, to be able to reach each other. This course, the students in this course typically come from both the computer information systems and the cybersecurity programs. If you need to get in touch with me, the best way is usually through email, right? You can also come look for me at the iTech campus. Here on screen you can see my office phone number, though we're using a voice over IP digital number, so sometimes I'm not in my office as much, so sometimes it doesn't ring. So the best way is usually through email or through Teams. And again, I will be creating a Teams group for this. You can also send me a message through Canvas, and I try to get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. So with that being said, thank you. Welcome to TSC. Welcome to this course in network administration, and you'll hear more from me.